I just ask you this because you follow this stuff and I don't. But is there anything in the world happening that I should know about? Because I don't follow the news. I don't watch YouTube. So you always come to me with the fun stuff. Like,
interesting
there's
things.
a scandal.
Yeah. So what happened? Ben Shapiro, you saw that?
I did see that. There's walked off set.
Ben Shapiro walked off set. That's not world news, but that's that's YouTube news.
Yeah.
Which is what I follow. I don't follow world news.
Yeah.
I follow.
Justified?
Well, I think the context matters is what kind of happened. My understanding, which is incredibly limited, is that guy plays this like frustrating question asker, but not even frustrating because he doesn't press you on it. He caricaturizes your position and then you're just allowed to like respond calmly. And then he moves on to his next position. And I don't think he necessarily, he does the thing that's frustrating in real conversation. Like, isn't it true? Which is incredibly frustrating, but I think that's his shtick. And I think what Ben had even acknowledged is like, I didn't know who this guy was. And apparently he is fairly conservative. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have the same beliefs that he was necessarily like, he may not even think that it's barbaric, like the style of abortion that is barbaric or whatever they were talking about.
Are you saying the interviewer and Ben Shapiro are both conservative, but just for the sake of having an interesting conversation, the interviewer took the position of a more liberal?
They may be conservative in different ways, but Ben's accusation was, you would never do this to someone that's liberal. And my understanding is like, dude, this is what I do professionally, is I like just tell people that their positions don't make sense and force them to rationalize what they're saying in the face of like, this is terrible. And then I move on to the next question, and I do the same thing over and over again. And I don't think Ben understood that. It reminded me of it was I get what he was. I could react that way sometimes, but it also reminded me of like Jordan Peterson, who was in a pretty similar situation. So what you're saying, isn't it true? Isn't this? And who remained for 20 minutes, cool, calm, collected, answered them at face value, didn't assume, and this was literally in the video that we just did of Brie Larson, like, didn't assume negative intent.
Yeah.
And I think Ben's big mistake was that he assumed that he could mind read, that he knew why this guy was asking the questions that he was asking. And even when he said, I think what you're doing it, and the guy said, no, that's not what I'm doing, he assumed, no, he's lying to me because I know what is going on in his head better than he does, which is, I've been learning this a lot. Like the Brie Larson video taught me this, and everybody's reaction to it, and then some of the reactions to me about why my motivations for the Brie Larson video.
Yeah, like saying that you made this video because you hate.
Because I'm sexist,
Brie
and
Larson.
again, I hate Brie Larson, and like it was honestly, I'm thankful for the experience of, because it was a light one compared to what can happen if you blow up, of just having people incredibly certain, at least in the comments, that they know your motivations and why you did something. And that they're like, you know, oh, you left this out, therefore you were trying to make this point, as opposed to, I didn't see that clip that you saw, you know.
Or the point I was trying to make is the one I literally explicitly said in the video.
Yes. And that you are not even charitable enough to take me at my own explanation for why I am doing the things that I am doing.
Yeah.
So it was I was upset for a minute. I stayed up for an extra 10 or 15 minutes reading comments one night, and they were, you mentioned this, by and large highly positive, but like rare sprinkles of like, this is a sexist agenda. You are whatever the thing. And I've expressed last time we talked to the things that I wish that I did differently in the video, but by and large, I'm like, if you just isolate this video, like, I'm not proud of it. I think that it's a good video in and of itself.
I'm pretty confident that even if you added the paragraph at the end that you wanted to, you would still get flack from people saying that you're a monster, you're trying to take down whatever liberalism. Like, people are just going to not even watch the video and assault you for it. So
this is actually, I'm glad you asked. This has been what's been on my head for 3 days a week or so. Like, and then a new scandal comes out. Like, there's this guy James Charles, who I'm sure you don't know.
I do know him, actually. Joe Rogan talked about him. He's the makeup guy, right?
Yeah, he's a makeup guy, and he had a scandal where somebody else made a video about him that he did all these bad things, including using her for gain and then letting it go to his head, in addition to he's a gay guy, like targeting straight guys and trying to confuse them about their sexuality, and he's the biggest sub loss in YouTube history. I think he's like over 2 million in a few days so far.
Oh, wow.
16 to under 14. Yeah, well, scandal. Like, he's fine.
Well, the stuff you described didn't seem like that big a deal, honestly.
Well, people, anyway, what I learned from it is that my instinct is to like follow the narrative that I heard and go like, oh, we got him. You know what I mean? Like, we found a monster. And I am learning to like full pause and be like, not that he's not a monster, that I don't know anything about this guy.
Yeah.
I watched a video that he made in response and a video criticizing him and a summary. I still know nothing about him. And even if I were to watch a lot of his videos, I would know nothing about him. So it's going to make for a duller show if I maintain this attitude of non-judgmentalness, because I realize part of what people do on shows like these is they give hot takes where they go, oh, that guy's a jerk, or like, oh my God, that guy's a saint. And I'm really trying to holster that.
Yeah.
Because I've been on the other side of it where people assume that I'm Jesus and where they assume that I'm a sexist monster for the same piece of content.
Yeah. No, it's interesting for sure. And I actually, something you said triggered me when you were talking about the comments and the fact that you can have 90% good comments but not see them. This is really random, but H3 had Post Malone on his podcast. Post Malone had a phone call with Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
I couldn't really hear it, and also was just eating lunch at the time, but the comments were saying that it's so weird. Justin Bieber needs this validation because how could he be insecure? Because he's Justin Bieber. I'm more secure than Justin Bieber and I'm not a millionaire, whatever. All these, fucking perfect people in the comments. And what I think people don't realize is your human brain is designed mostly to just remember the negative feedback so you can survive in your small 10-person village. He has had more haters than anyone can possibly imagine. Yeah. And so people were in the comments saying, this guy's got 1 million fans, 1 billion fans. What's he insecure about? Screw this guy. He's soft.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, he might have 1 billion fans. He has 1 million haters. You've never had that.
Yeah.
You're just a guy. Maybe 2 people have said bad stuff to your face. A bunch have said it behind your back. You never hear it. This guy's gotten more in his face, in his ears, negative feedback than you could possibly imagine. And it doesn't get drowned out by having 100 times the positive feedback.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was really interesting is you kind of start to understand these insecure celebrities because it doesn't help to get 100 million nice things said about you, because when you hear a nice thing, you go, oh, that's nice. But when you hear a bad thing, you go, oh, is that true?
Yeah.
And it starts to burrow in. And I think it's a real skill to be able to forget that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately, I think what it does is it exposes latent insecurities about you. So like, if somebody's like, Charlie, you've got the ugliest blue eyes I've ever seen. Like, I wouldn't sit here and be like, do I really have blue eyes that are ugly? Like,
no, that's me. I have
that's actually like, I would know and I would sense. And there's certain things that you could throw at me that wouldn't stick. But like, if it does upset me, I'm afraid that perhaps it could be true about me. You know what I mean? And I think that's true of a lot of the other stuff. But no, it's been a great. I'm happy for the reaction and all of it to the video.
It was largely positive.
Largely
which I
positive.
Also appreciate.
Well, and I didn't know. I'm happy that I didn't notice that at first. I'm happy that I saw some of the negative stuff before, like having to check and be like, wait a second, like you are focusing on this negative side. The other thing that was interesting, I spoke to Benji. And I forgot this because I told him, I was like, I'm used to and had to get used to my work being criticized, and I can take it. If people are like, I don't like this video, that actually, it runs off me pretty quick. It's been years of having experienced that. What I haven't experienced are personal attacks to say your character is flawed in some way. And I was saying to Benji,
or just from people that you're close to, not from YouTube commenters.
From the YouTube yeah. I mean, people I'm close to is nonstop barrage. Just, why can't you be funnier? You're not cool. And so Benji was saying, I forgot this. He's like, dude, yeah, I know. Like, I was on Survivor. I was the bad guy. And it didn't occur to me. So our friend Benji was on Australian Survivor and was like the heel of Australian Survivor, and had people who hated him in a broadcast television scope in his home country. And a couple things that were interesting. He's like, one, oh, dude, they like, I would get the most mean things you've ever heard of. But, and this has been my experience as well, he's like, no one has ever said anything to me in person.
Yeah.
And I think this is hard to recognize, like, because me either. I've never had a single individual come up and speak to me. So he's like, what you got to recognize, man, is like, this person doesn't even really believe what they're saying. Like, they had a momentary blip on their head where they had this hate inside of them that is probably directed towards some aspect of themselves that they haven't been able to deal with. And they spew it out there and then they move on with their lives. Like, or maybe they do think about you, but not enough to interact with you in any sort of meaningful way. Like, it's just a punching bag for them to air their own grievances out on. I thought that was interesting. I was like, wow, like, if you turned off the internet, you'd never know that Australia hated Benji for
yeah.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
He said when people saw him in real life, they would come up, be nice, ask him for autographs.
Yeah. And he's like, and so, yeah, you just got to recognize that, like, it's not real in any sense. But he said, but also, which I agree with, he's like, neither is the love. Like, the love is also fake. Like, they don't really love you. They just want a photo with you to like, again, it's all about what it reflects upon them, you know? So if they're telling you that you're a monster and this is the other thing, likely they have some things that they can't deal with in their own life. But if they want a picture with you, they just want to post it on social media and you know what I mean? So, like, leave them to their own things, do your own things, and try to just not to listen.
I had some hilarious experiences with that. We went to a conference and people were taking photos and then tagging just to kind of be like, oh, I met these people.
Yeah.
Also, I was at a bachelor party and I randomly ran into this group of travel bloggers who run very small blogs. And we were talking, they're like, oh, what do you do? I told them, and all of a sudden, it's like the internet equivalent of gold digging. They were just like, oh, wait, what? And so all of a sudden everybody wants to trade Instagrams and this and that, and then are saying, oh, we should do shares or we should do this, or they're tagging me and be like, oh, post me and tag me. And it's like, I don't know you, and I post like once every 4 months. So,
I haven't posted in 2019.
Yeah, unless you're with my dad, that's probably not going to happen. But it was interesting because so much of the kindness they were showing me in person was all of a sudden calculated for some sort of social media notoriety that is borderline worthless anyway.
Yeah.